What is going on, Rivian fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to give you a good overview of the data points, what they're truly saying, and why, even though it's down almost about 6% give or take, a lot of people are not believing it. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So recently they did have their Q1 earnings. I did live stream that. They were very good in my opinion, which of course caused it to get above $15. But the fact that it is now at 13, something just does not add up. And so again, there's a lot of different factors at play, none of which is Rivian's fault particularly, but there's a lot of concerns about the whole debt ceiling. There's a lot of articles coming out about EV production as a whole. So EV production estimates are coming down. Demand isn't the problem. So in here, they're more so talking on Polestar and Lucid. Lucid just has been failing for a while now, ever since the get-go. But Polestar recently did cut their targets or their 2023 targets from 80 to 60 to 70,000. So a lot of people are just generalizing Rivian in the whole EV sector as far as having problems, but yet they did reiterate their target of 50,000 units. Just because some Wall Street individuals are assuming that it's going to be 60,000, that's not justification for it to trend down. They're actually on target to be 50,000 to hit that target. And over and above that, though, they did say in the Q1 earnings, they reiterated that most likely second half of 2024, they're actually going to be net profitable. And there was a ton of analysts that jumped on board for the conference call, and all of which asked questions and tried to tear Rivian apart, but they answered everything perfectly. And I think their earnings were so good because in the tail end of 2022, they were starting to do layoffs at that stage, and this is where they were starting to cut any unnecessary expenses early on before it got too late. Because when it comes down to Lucid, they cut a lot of, I think 18% of their staff technically in Q1, or at least at tail end of Q1. Similarly, during Polestar's earnings, they did announce that they are going to be laying off 800 staff, and that works out to be about 10%. So like I said, generally speaking, Rivian is just getting dragged down because of being in the EV market. So that just isn't justification. And keep in mind, when I bring up short interest, typically it's not necessarily because I feel it's going to ever have a squeeze. It's just good as a benchmark. But what shorts are doing today, they're really trying to suppress Rivian because they are currently increasing 6.4 million shares, 12.4% of the free floats being shorted, and that almost works out to be 76 million shares. Cost of bars going up a little bit, but 1.05%, that's nothing. That's just pennies. Keep in mind, other than the Q1 earnings, there has been no news, no SEC filings or anything like that. So again, just be aware of that. But like I said, there's a lot of articles that is just dragging Rivian in when they kind of are above that. And based on, for instance, the analyst estimates that came in, or the new ratings, a lot of which were fairly positive, with the exception of, for instance, D.A. Davidson, who kind of has a low score in general. So I don't know why a lot of people pay attention to a lot of these analysts, because they're 36% right. That is just flawed, very, very flawed. But despite that, though, you do get a lot of good ones, such as Bank of America. So John Murphy, he gave a $40 target. And of course, even looking in general, there's just a ton. So the consensus right now is 23.67, a 81 or 82% upside. So I know some people don't always like to follow what big money is doing per se, but definitely looking at these analysts during a bear market, this is very optimistic. Similarly, even though it is going down and shorts are increasing their position, looking at options activity today, there was a total so far of $1.75 million worth of call premium versus $1.14 million in put premium. So there is a lot of buying that's been happening, and clearly that does insinuate people do not believe this sell-off, and that upside is anticipated. Similarly, though, if you actually look at the transactions on the secondary market, you see a lot of big buying that's been happening, a lot of which is actual buys, not necessarily sells. You can tell based on the bid and the ask versus the selling price. But similarly, over the last couple of days, there's been a lot of big transactions, even 11.4 million, because like I mentioned, their Q1 earnings were solid. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so you guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But the fact that Rivian's earnings did get it as high as it did, it just shows that they are doing something right. And when it comes down to Rivian's earnings, it was a very nice breath of fresh air, because previously I listened to, for instance, Polestars, Lucids, Teslas, and Rivian's were the most optimistic out of them all. But yet, here we are currently at $13. So something just doesn't add up behind the scenes. As far as stochastic, it is currently at 49, a little bit more of a bearish sentiment behind the scenes. The momentum indicator shows number of retail investors are just getting out. So clearly they're getting tired of it, or maybe they're worried about the whole debt ceiling, which based on a lot of analysts, it seems to be a very big concern, but yet the likelihood of that ever happening is close to zero, because I think it's been pushed back almost about 78 times, something like that. So again, when it comes down to the technicals though, where is Rivian going? So with it being at 1305, it is currently between this S1 and the pivot. So it did break below this very pivotal point of $13.43. So of course, 1186 is the next big support. 1343 is that next big resistance. But like I said, based on all the data points behind the scenes, a lot of people are under the impression that this sell-off that is happening today is just unjustified and it does not make sense. The only one that is actually believing that this is going down is the ones that are prompting this, and that is shorts. So again, I do feel that that's going to negatively burn the shorts, because after this whole debt ceiling kind of goes away and people forget about Polestar and Lucid laying off staff, this is where tentatively it can easily go up very, very fast, because the fact that it's trading between this S1 and the pivot, that's just not right. A lot of other growth stocks are a little bit higher right now. So again, let me know you guys' thoughts on all of that in the comments below. And keep in mind, like I mentioned, as far as institutions buying, this is all current data, whereas the latest round of 13Fs, which oddly is still very positive, you see a lot of institutions that have been increasing their position, and all of this did occur though in Q1. So in Q1, institutions were very bullish, and right now things are still bullish, and as of options, things are still bullish. The only negative, like I said, once again, is just shorts. Somehow they feel justification for Rivian to go down, and in my opinion, I think that's just overdone. But like I said, these videos are strictly for entertainment purposes only. On a side note, let me know your thoughts on, for instance, the Q1 earnings. What stood out to you? Was there any negatives, or was there any positives that you took from that? I really valued their ability to actually answer questions. That is kind of becoming rare now with a lot of EVs. So the fact that they are actually able to look you in the eye, theoretically and virtually of course, and just tell you straight up, yes, this is it, and blah blah blah. Like, they are very, very on top of it. And I think that's a very good point, because someone did comment on one of my videos in the past, the difference between, for instance, Rivian and a lot of the other EVs. A lot of the other EVs are a lot more engineer focused, so they love their product and they love building it, whereas Rivian seems a lot more business oriented, so they know exactly how things work behind the scenes. So definitely both have pros and cons, but as of right now, I feel that Rivian is and should be significantly higher in comparison to a lot of the other EVs, because going back over here, you can see Polestar is down 4.7%. Mullen, obviously that's a whole different ball game there. Lucid is down 1.7%, but yet once again, Rivian is down almost 6%. That should not happen at all. But once again, what do I know, right? Let me know you guys' thoughts on all of this in the comments below. And when it comes down to it, give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, selling, or did you sell at this peak? What was your takeaway and what are you planning on doing? So without further ado, I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up like I said. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. It is a free promo, so link in the description below and also the comments. Sign up for a free account, you get one free stock. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So even if you just do that, take advantage, because it is a complete no-brainer. And as you can see, throw $100 at the account, you get an additional 9 free stocks. This is only for May itself. So once again, let me know you guys' thoughts, and let's all make a lot of money on Rivian.